Hello, my name is Lee Presser. This is my show. I speak frequently to very interesting people. Some of these conversations are so exciting, so intellectually stimulating, I thought others might like to listen in. This is the reason we started recording Conversation with Lee Presser.
Welcome to Conversation with Lee Presser. Dr. Julie Furst-Bowe was appointed Chancellor of Southern Illinois University, Edwardsville on July 2, 2012. She is the 8th Chancellor, succeeding former Chancellor Vaughn Vandegrift. She is an extremely talented person and has a very impressive resume. Dr. Furst-Bowe is recognized nationally and internationally for her expertise in quality higher education and has authored several articles and a book on this topic, Quality and Performance Excellence in Higher Education. She has served as a quality improvement consultant for numerous colleges and universities and is currently under contract to provide consulting services to Singapore's Ministry of Education and Ahlia University in Bahrain. She has served as a Fulbright Scholar working with a new university in Azerbaijan through the Fulbright program. She's a founding board member of the National Consortium for Continuous Improvement in Higher Education and serves as Higher Education Chair for the American Society for Quality. Dr. Furst-Bowe has served as a peer reviewer for the Higher Learning Commission for more than a decade and is a former senior examiner for the Malcolm Baldrige Performance Excellence Program. She is active in the American Association of State College and Universities and is a member of the International Association of University Presidents. Before coming to SIUE, Dr. Furst-Bowe served as Provost and Vice Chancellor for Academic and Student Affairs at the University of Wisconsin-Stout from 2005 to 2012. Julie Furst-Bowe, welcome to Conversation. That's quite a resume.
Well, thank you.
You're very welcome. And I'm really pleased to have you on the show. But more than that, I'm pleased to have someone with your qualities to be the Chancellor of Southern Illinois University, Edwardsville, which is also, I have a couple of degrees from there myself. So thanks. You've been in the job for just over a year. Mm-hmm. It's probably been a pretty hectic year for you while you learn the ropes. What have you learned in this last year?
Well, the year went by really quickly, and it was a learning curve. Although I'd been in higher education, I didn't know that much about SIUE before taking this position. I think I've learned that it's everything I thought it was and probably more. We've got really great students, hardworking faculty, probably one of the most beautiful campuses in the country, so it's been a very good year.
I noticed you commented on the deer and the geese. You didn't have that at Stout?
The campus at Stout was actually in the middle of the city of Menominee, Wisconsin. So no, we certainly had those things out in the countryside, but not walking across the parking lot every day.
I have a friend who says that the deer seem to know when deer season comes up because they start crossing from outside of the campus and running inside the campus during that period there. So I guess maybe you'll notice that yourself because we're coming up to that period here pretty soon when they're going to start shooting.
Yeah, that's true.
You don't allow shooting on your campus now, do you?
No hunting, although my husband asks me that all the time. He's an avid deer hunter, and he says, wow, you've got a lot of deer. Maybe somebody should come in and thin them out. And no, absolutely not. So.
Okay. So SIU is considered a metropolitan school. What, in education parlance, what is a metropolitan school compared to other kinds of universities?
Well, it's basically simply, it's just a university that's located in a metropolitan area. So we are located obviously in the greater St. Louis area, so we're considered a metropolitan university as opposed to a school that's in a more rural location.
I see. And now, SIU is in Illinois. Most of the people who live in this area are on the other side of the river in Missouri. Is there some accommodation made by SIU to get students from Missouri to come to Illinois, to SIUE?
Oh, there is. Most of our students do come from Illinois. In fact, most come from the counties that directly surround the campus. But we do offer a special tuition rate for Missouri students that they can use the first year. Then after the first year, they can basically apply to become a resident of Illinois and qualify for the resident or in-state tuition.
Is there a big difference between the in-state and out-of-state?
Yes, there is. There is. So that's the discount would really help any student from Missouri who wanted to get their degree at SIUE.
When I was a student at SIU, there was a very, very large group of foreign students that were coming here. SIU seemed to really aggressively go after foreign students. Is that the case still?
Well, there was some drop-off in recent years, I think, following 9/11, stricter immigration laws. We are starting to bring that back, though my goal is to increase the number of international students on campus, and we're seeing actually a small increase in international students this fall. We've recently re-established our program it's basically an English language institute, so students that come to campus that still need to strengthen their English skills before taking college classes will be able to do that starting in January.
I see. When I was there, there was a lot of people from like South America and Central America, mostly soccer player types. And the soccer program at SIU was fabulous. And then I noticed as I went on and I would look in the engineering schools and I'd see a lot of Asians, especially Chinese students from mainland China that were at SIU. And of course, I've been away from there for quite a while. I come back to campus, but it's not the same as when you're actually there. So I'm glad to hear that we have that international component. I think it helps America's image in the world to have people actually living here. So you've been around a year, and you've seen the facility. So as everybody, you probably have some ideas of how you want to make some changes. Would you care to share any of those?
Well, the campus is in excellent shape in a lot of ways. So the changes, I think, are fairly minor. I don't think there's any really big issues or things that need fixing. But certainly, the goals are there. One is to certainly remain affordable. We've been hearing a lot about increasing college costs, increasing student debt loads. SIUE is very proud of the fact that we have the lowest tuition of any of the public universities in the state, and we want to remain affordable for students and their families. Like every other school, we want to work on retention and graduation rates. We certainly don't want students to, leave SIUE after 2 or 3 years of college. They've accumulated debt load, but they don't have a degree. So we really want every student to finish his or her degree. We're looking to put more things online as well. We've been a pretty traditional residential type campus, but we're seeing, certainly not so much with our traditionally aged students, but with our graduate students and working adults, that they really would like to have courses and programs online to have that convenience and flexibility to work on their degree when they're working full time.
Would this be 100% online, or where they wouldn't be coming to campus, or is this supplement to coming to campus?
Actually, it's both. Right now, we do have some programs, I think 4 or 5, which are completely online. And right now, they're limited to programs in nursing and in the School of Education, teacher education. Again, the audience is working adults, not the 18-year-old taking online courses from his or her dorm room. But we also have a lot of online courses, hybrid courses, that students really like. They like being able to fit that additional class in their schedule. They like being able to take a summer class online and go back and have a job in their hometown. So there are lots of reasons that we're incorporating more online and hybrid courses into the curriculum.
I was talking to a friend of mine who's a pretty good guy and well educated, and he watches like the Discover Channel and the Learning Channel on cable. And one of the things that we discovered or discussed was that, boy, in 1 hour of one of these programs, you can learn an enormous amount that would seem to take weeks and weeks and weeks in a classroom with a lecturer in front of you. Is that where education is going to be moving in the future?
Well, I definitely think we're going to see more technology being used, in the classroom, more students being able to take courses online. This generation of students, I don't think, has a lot of patience for sitting listening to lengthy lectures. They want to be involved. They want to be able to use technology. Constantly when I walk around campus, I'm amazed they're not talking to each other. They're just texting and talking on their cell phones.
That brings up an entirely different, well, that's a very different climate. I mean, back when, and I hate to keep pointing to me, but I'm familiar with that campus. When I was there and when my peers were there, there was actually a lot of talking and communication and maybe some music playing. And what you've just said is that students today seem to be more device-oriented rather than communicating directly with people. In the long run, as an educator, do you think that this is going to have a substantial change on the way that people interact, say, 30 years from now?
Well, I think it is. It's probably a little too soon to say what the results will be, but certainly I'm hearing from faculty, and this was true when I was in Wisconsin as well, that students don't read, sit down and read books, like we used to, that they text and use shorthand, so actually writing in complete formal sentences is something that they don't have a lot of practice in. I like to think on campus they're going to have a range of experiences, whether it's small discussion classes, laboratory experiences, being able to do things, performances, art. I think it's that range of experiences that will really help them later in life.
I couldn't agree more with that. And one of the reasons that we have this show is to communicate in long format ideas. And a lot of, this is very, very short format. I don't know that it even builds vocabulary. You know what I mean?
No, I know what you mean. Yeah, it's very short. It's very concise. It's sort of abrupt type communication, and I don't think it lends itself to every situation.
No, if you're familiar with the term the Borg, which is a Star Trek thing of people who, they really don't communicate much except, in very curt ways, and they're cybernetic people. And I look out sometimes at the world and I'm wondering if we aren't moving in that direction. Mm-hmm. But coming back to what you're actually doing right now, do you see any new programs that you think that you would like to see added to the SIU schedule?
Well, we have a wide array of programs right now. That's one of the reasons I was attracted to the campus, is we have the complete array of arts and science programs, liberal arts programs, performing arts programs, along with engineering and business and nursing and pharmacy and a dental school, as well as teacher education. So I think we have something like 80 plus undergraduate majors. So it's not like we're really short. I think what we'll see in the future, though, are more interdisciplinary majors. We have faculty right now who are working on putting together like business and science for a sustainability type programming.
What is a sustainability program?
Sustainability, students are very interested in sustainability. Its bottom line is how we take better care of the earth, and whether that's as simple as recycling or looking at it from a financial perspective, or even sort of a social justice perspective. We see a lot of student interest in the environment and sustainability, and I think that's a very good trend, very mm-hmm. positive trend among the younger generation.
You have a dental school,
mm-hmm.
and but that's not on the main campus. That's in Alton.
Right, it's in Alton. Mm-hmm.
Right, and you don't. Carbondale has the law school, right?
Right.
Right, and what other off of the SIUE campus are you responsible for programs?
Other than the dental school in Alton, SIUE operates a fairly large outreach center in East St. Louis, and in that center we have a charter high school, we have several outreach programs, we have various Head Start programs for preschool children, so we serve literally thousands of students and families over in that area.
Mm-hmm. You, in the stuff that I read originally, at the top of the show, talked about quality, and you appear to be very interested in quality. Would you describe to people what your interest is and what quality means in education?
I think what quality means in education, or probably actually in any organization, is looking at how well you're doing now and, you know, key indicators, and then how do you improve that very systematically toward targets. Like we can look at our current retention rate or graduation rate and say, wow, you know, we certainly aren't anywhere near close to 100% of the students graduating. So how can we, you know, set a target? Maybe 100% isn't going to be realistic, but can we set a target of 70, 80, 90%, and then systematically get our faculty and staff all working on initiatives that will take us to that goal?
Mm-hmm. And is this something that people cooperate in?
Well, I think for the most part, it's, you know, it's hard to, I think it probably depends a bit on the initiative. It's certainly hard to argue with the concept of student success and every student being successful. And certainly what I've seen on our campus is very student-centered faculty and staff. It was another, frankly, another attractive point for me when I was interviewing for the chancellor position. I could see that the faculty and students genuinely cared about the they cared about the campus, the faculty and staff genuinely cared about the students, and I don't think you see that everywhere.
No, you don't. As a matter of fact, there are a lot of universities where faculty are often researchers, and that the students never, the universities will advertise that Professor so-and-so is one of our, is on our faculty, but actually the students never see Professor so-and-so because he's too busy or she's too busy doing research and bringing funds into the university.
And that's certainly not true at SIUE. The courses are all taught by the faculty members. The faculty are involved in research, but from what I've seen, a lot of the research actually involves students, undergraduate students and graduate students working alongside the faculty members in the laboratory, and I think it's a great experience for the students.
I know that the engineering school involves a lot of high school students and even younger ones in some of their contests and outside programs. They have some robot contest that they do. The engineering school, we've had a lot of your faculty members here, so I know something about them. I know that the dean told me once that he would stack up his engineering school against WashU's any day.
Yeah, the engineering school is really taking off at SIUE. In fact, they have a record enrollment this fall, more students than they've ever had, and I think part of that can be attributed to all of the outreach they're doing, outreach with area schools, with middle school students, with high school students. Like you said, they've got the robotic contest, they've got a contest where they build some kind of solar cars, I believe it is. Every time I go to the engineering building, they're doing something like that, a lot of hands-on activity, and they're seeing some international recognition too. We've had a long-standing program with the university in Turkey where students spend some of their time going to school in Turkey, some of their time at SIUE. They graduate with engineering diplomas from both campuses, and we have several universities now in China and Korea who would like to duplicate that experience for their students.
Oh, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
In your career, you have gone overseas to some of these universities. Mm-hmm. What have you noticed the differences or the similarities between overseas and the United States?
I think there are probably more similarities than differences. I think every country is seeing that, at least the countries I visited, they're really seeing that a highly educated, citizenship, a highly educated workforce is going to be the key to economic success. So we're seeing a lot of investments in education, certainly in Asia, in the Middle East. Differences, I think most of the international universities do have a more global perspective. The students, for the most part, study many languages. English is common, whereas here, we're certainly trying to increase the number of students that study foreign languages, but it's certainly not common to have students that speak multiple languages.
Mm-hmm. This university in Bahrain, Ahlia, is that how it's pronounced? Just one gentleman decided to just privately start that. Why don't you just talk a little bit about, because you're associated with them, what was the story there?
I've been working with them for a few years. Yeah, basically it was an individual citizen. He'd had some background in higher education, decided to form a private university just because, again, a growing demand for post-secondary education in Bahrain. It's all very legitimate. The government has put out standards that both public and private institutions have to meet, and that was my early work with them, was basically making sure they had everything in place so they could meet those standards and become accredited by the government of Bahrain. They started out really in a shopping center.
Really?
Yeah, and have since moved to a more what I would say call a traditional type of campus in that country.
Well, it's interesting that you know that people there see the value of education so much that they're willing to use an old shopping center as a place to do education.
Mm-hmm.
And have you been to this one in Azerbaijan?
I did. I think it was in 2011, so it would have been 2 years ago. I spent part of a semester in Baku, over in Azerbaijan, working with them on a same kind of a situation, really, except this was a government-funded, government-sponsored new university.
Azerbaijan is part of the old Soviet Union, right?
Right. It's on the Caspian Sea. And they were working out of basically, I don't think it was a shopping center, but they were working out of a series of offices in downtown Baku with big plans for a very beautiful traditional campus. And I was actually helping them with everything from sitting down with the various designers and architects and what should this campus look like, to sitting down with some of the faculty members to what should the curriculum look like. And they were very interested in a state-of-the-art curriculum and serving students not only from Azerbaijan, but from the surrounding countries as well.
And did they speak English or English well enough for you to communicate?
Oh, absolutely. And like I said, I think that's one difference. It seems like wherever I've been in the world, people have been able to speak English. Certainly not everyone in Baku spoke English, but the people that I was working with at the university were all fluent in English.
And of course, that's a big difference from the United States, where,
big difference.
of course, everybody speaks, well, not everybody, but most Americans speak English, Spanish being the second language. But there isn't much French, isn't much Mandarin, isn't much Russian being spoken here in the United States. What, now you're a chancellor of a university, what effect can you have on that? Is there any effect that you can have?
Well, certainly we do have, languages at SIUE. Students can major in many languages. They can certainly take languages as a part of their program. They're required in some of the majors, certainly not all of them. One thing we could certainly look at was having foreign language be a requirement. Again, I think it would depend, on the language. I'm sure some students would find it challenging. Languages are not always easy to learn, but it's certainly something that we'll look at as we make further steps to globalize the campus.
Yeah, it almost, now I have to admit, foreign languages are really, really tough for me. I guess I missed the boat at that moment when you're a kid, when you can learn more language. I think when you hit 13, it suddenly becomes a little more difficult. But I don't even think that Americans really think that much that there's even a necessity to learn to be able to, well, why don't they speak English? We got about 5 minutes left here. Let's move back here to the United States, to your duties. My understanding of heads of universities is that they spend a considerable portion of their time dealing with the alumni and in fundraising. So let's just talk a little bit about your life there.
Sure, that was a big part of the first year and certainly will be a part of every year at SIUE. We have more than 90,000 living alumni, so a huge alumni base. And fortunately, half or a little over half live in the greater St. Louis area. So although we've done some traveling to meet with our graduates, a lot of it has just been, meeting them for breakfast, lunch, dinners, receptions, and it's just, the stories are amazing. When I talk to some of our first graduates who were often veterans or people that were working full-time and they were coming to night school and taking their kids with them and putting their kids in the classroom while they studied and got their degrees, they've got a lot of pride in what they've accomplished. They've really taken pride in seeing the institution grow and develop. But it's been fun to meet with some of our younger alumni as well. They've got some very interesting, things that they're doing in whatever field they're in, engineering or healthcare or business. And I think that's one of my favorite parts of the job, is meeting with our graduates and seeing what they've been up to and hearing their thoughts and listening to their memories about SIUE.
When SIUE first started, it was a commuter campus only. Now you actually have dorms, don't you?
We do.
How many students are living in your dorms?
I think we have
approximately.
Yeah,
I mean, we're talking hundreds, thousands.
No, it's probably quote. I think it's maybe about 3,000 students that are living in the residence halls.
Oh, really?
We have residence halls
that's
that are
different.
Yeah, and they're nice because a lot of campuses were building residence halls, back in the 60s and 70s, and since ours weren't built until recently.
Yeah, really, like the. I'm not sure if they had it in the 80s, but
no, I don't
90s, I think they got started.
Yeah, started in the 90s and have continued on. So, residence halls are very contemporary compared to most of our peer institutions. And
even Carbondale. I mean,
yeah,
Carbondale's a traditional college. I mean, it's been around in its current form since just after World War II.
Yeah, they've got some of the high-rise residence halls, where we really don't have any that are like that. It's a little more personalized. Students are not having to share bathrooms with large groups of people or anything like that. So I think we're really doing a good job developing resident life and student life on the campus.
And there's something on the order of about, 14,000 students that are now enrolled at SIU?
Close to 14,000 students.
Yeah, that's doing good. I know that for a while there that it had dipped to closer to 10,000, so getting it back up again and at that 14,000 mark and growing. Well, I hope that I hope that SIU continues to do well. I think that I've seen a lot of improvement over the years. Of course, you're new to the area, but I suspect that over the years that you're here, that a lot of good stuff's going to happen. Is there anything short term that you can talk about that might be happening in the near future, or have we covered it?
I think we've covered just about everything.
Well, okay. I think we have to. I think we have to. So, I'm hoping that that we can have you back here again. Not like next week or anything, but on a semi-regular basis, so that we can get some updates on what's going on over there at the campus.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Are you? I mean, we're coming into the winter here soon. I gather that you know that you're not going to have like 10 foot of snow here compared to like Wisconsin?
No, the winters here are great compared to Wisconsin, but I did have to laugh. We had to close school a couple of times last year because we did get a couple of very heavy snowstorms, which we were unprepared for, being in this part of the country.
Yeah, that's Edwardsville. Thank you very much for being with us today. I certainly appreciate it. And to my audience, I've been speaking with Dr. Julie Furst-Bowe. She is the 8th Chancellor of Southern Illinois University in Edwardsville in Illinois. And it's been a pretty good conversation. I hope that those of you who are looking at a school to send your children to, that you would actually take the time to consider that. This show is going to be uploaded to YouTube, so you can show it to other folks. Thanks. Bye.